Well, hey there everyone, this is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees, and I'm still doing bees. I've been doing bees all morning because I've been making a video for y'all here on June 8th. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. That's right folks, June 8th, got done making another video. Gonna make a second one because there was just too much footage in the other to try and even attempt to do this one. And what I'm doing today is the last thing I'm doing today after I have assessed honey supers, that's all, not honeybees, honey supers. I'm going to put some pollen traps out. Now, in a normal dearth situation here in Southeast Louisiana, in my neck of the woods, I will get pollen in the summer through the dearth to an extent. Not a lot, but it picks up as we get closer to fall, obviously. And I'm going to get my traps on a little earlier. Usually I don't put them on before honey harvest, but I got a couple colonies I can put them on. A swarm that had been caught, we did a video on it. It was a swarm I caught. We did the shake with the basket, the waste basket. And that thing grew really well, and I actually used it as a brood factory to make nukes for those queens that I introduced last week. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to put a pollen trap on it, but I'm going to show you the pollen traps I have. I didn't run pollen last year because it wasn't a dearth, it was a drought. We had nothing. Our dearth usually yields a slow little bit of nectar here and there. And so really, I guess you really couldn't call it a true dearth because there is a little bit of nectar in the summer. But the pollen slows down quite a bit and the nectar goes down to almost nothing and the nests shrink. And during the drought, everything went away. Everything was burned up, dry and dead. No nectar, no pollen, no anything. And I underestimated that. Should have had some sort of pollen sub on them. It hurt me pretty bad. Hopefully we don't have that this year. So any amount of pollen I want to trap. I've trapped pollen in the past. I don't usually trap a lot. I want to get into it more, and I want to begin to do it in the spring so that I can get a better haul. So I can have more throughout the year because it sells very fast. I tried it out a few years ago and it sold quick, but it's a process. You got to trap it. You got to preserve it until you dry it. You got to dry it. You got to winnow it. You got to clean it basically. And then you can bottle it and sell it, and you got to weigh it and all that good stuff. So I do like the pollen trapping, but it's kind of tricky because you don't want to take too much, but you know, at the same time, you got to take enough. So you need, you know, more than one trap is what I have figured out. So I also need to be able to dedicate more than one colony. This year, the plan was to try spring, but you know, I've been complaining more than you want to hear, I know, about time and all that. I just didn't have it. So I didn't do it, but I'm going to do it in the fall. And usually I get summer into fall, I get a good haul. So here's the traps I got. I have three types. This is the Sundance. This is the Mann Lake. And then these, you can get these from a lot of different brands and companies. And they all work, all right? Each one has its own differences. Personally, I like the Sundance the best. I think they make a rear drawer one. I got the side drawer. If you ever get one, I would suggest a rear drawer because it limits you to where if you have stands with hives close together, you can't get to them. But what I like about this one is it actually uses the bottom board, the existing bottom board. Let me get a bottom board, I'll show you. So, this is a super old, I think a Mann Lake, years ago, rotten old bottom board that I pulled from a hive to replace it. So this trap simply goes on the existing bottom board, okay? And of course you tighten this up, and if we were to, all right, and that's all it does. It's really neat. And then we would simply move the colony up in this box, okay? Now this would go all the way up, and it closes the entrance to the box. And so what you're doing now is if you leave it like this, now your bees use where the regular bottom board was, they go through here, but this is trapping pollen. When you're done trapping pollen, you loosen this screw, drop this down, and you block it. And now they go through this and they go into the normal colony. How that works is now they can go up and into the colony right here. These cones, they're for drones. So drones can get out. The bees won't come back up through those. So we're trapping pollen. We bring this up, of course. Using the hive tool makes it easier. You just pry it up, pops up. It makes them go through here. They now have to go in here. They go through these little holes. You can't see it in there, but when we lay this down, it forces, they have to come back out of here and up into the colony. Well, there's a screen they go through, and the pollen drops out, and it will then drop into our side drawer. Okay? Simple as that. I like this one because it uses the existing bottom board. It's easy to use. You just simply slide the trapdoor up or down, and it's done. The Mann Lake, on the other hand, side drawer. Here's my side drawer. It uses these tubes. I don't like this setup. Now, this thing works. I'm not going to say it doesn't work. It does work. It has the same setup, okay? So, when you're not trapping pollen, they go in the holes, they go up into the hive, right? When you decide you're going to trap pollen, you put these tubes in the holes, okay? These tubes go in, okay? You got 4 of them. Now, here's the thing. The bees can no longer go into the colony. They won't find these holes. They won't go in them. 1 or 2 might find them, but they won't go in them. And that allows drones out. But drones now can't go in them. That's an issue there. And it forces them into this hole. When they go through this hole, again, they go in, they have to make a U-turn, come up, and they drop their pollen through the screen. The screen pulls it off their legs into the drawer, which is in the side, okay? Easy enough, right? The problem is now, guess what? You're trapping pollen for 2 to 3 days. It's time to, you don't want to trap them too long. You bring them back. You take these out now because now I don't want to trap pollen. The problem with this trap, you'll see these 2 nails I have here, I added, is now the bees, they'll still go through here and trap pollen. Now you're trapping pollen and you don't want to. So what I did is I made a little board that I can stick in here, and this just keeps something from knocking it out, and I can force them back into the hole. That's the only thing I don't like about it, is they reorient to that other hole and then they stay reoriented to that, and you can't stop trapping without blocking the hole. So that's how I do that one. It works pretty good, but just an extra step. I'll use it. Then we have this one. This one here, it simply goes on to a bottom board. These, people have seen them, I'm sure. They fit in, well, we've got this screw out here, but you can see how this would fit into the entrance of the hive. In fact, let me show you on this other one. All right, so now let's try this other one. These work good. The only issue with these plastic ones is, and the instructions usually tell you that, is you need to empty them daily because they're not very, the tray with the pollen isn't very well protected from the rain. It's simple. There's the trap door. They have to go through that. It knocks the pollen off. It falls through a screen, goes in here. How do you stop trapping? You get your hive tool, your hand, stick in here. You slide it. There's a little pin that holds it. But the problem I've found is the pin, there's a pin on the side, and that's supposed to keep it from falling, and it will to an extent. I don't want to take any chances. I just stick a block of wood in here. That way if it does fall, it can only go so far and then can still go under. So I'm not trapping, and then when I want to trap, I shut it. Now I'm trapping. This one, really easy. Got these. Here's the drone escape on the side, and it's kind of conical shape, but some bees will find that and go in it. And this simply goes in like this. And it's got these staples you can use to staple it, but I just stick it in like so. And it seems to hold. And you just kind of block the entrances where, make it where they can't come out, and the majority of bees that go in. Okay, that's the pollen traps I own, and I'm gonna go put the Sundance pollen trap in a colony right now, and I'm gonna take y'all with me. Now what I'll say is when we set these, I leave them, I don't start trapping pollen for at least a week or so, especially with the Sundance, because they have to get used to an entrance that's 4 inches higher now, and they'll all gather on the front. The bees find their way in. Just gotta give them time. But that's what I do. I let them get oriented, and then we start trapping pollen. So let's take this out. So as we get set up, I'll let you guys watch the bees for a little bit and see if there's any pollen coming in. There's some coming in I saw on another couple colonies, but it's not real heavy right now. I mean, it's not the time of year for it to be. There is still some nectar coming. So, I mean, they're going to be bringing that in. But this colony here, they should be building out a lot of brood. And what I want to do is capitalize on any that starts coming in here in the next month or so. Like I said, normally do this after the honey harvest, because we see a lot of pollen up and through May, and then when the big flow comes, we don't see a bunch more. And then the dearth, we start seeing it coming in about midway through that, and then in the fall it pours in. So we'll get it on now and get them used to this. And this was a swarm. They did very well. The only danger here with these here in the south is there's a lot of hive beetles, and that's a problem. I tell you what, these bees have done good in this flow. Look at the bees in there. Wow, it's wall to wall. Now I pulled those frames out and I put in empty frames, because this was I pulled pulled about 6 frames of brood out of this thing. So, I mean, it just goes to show on a good year and a solid swarm you catch, you can make honey. Because I'll have to harvest some of this just to make space for them. Kind of makes me wonder what's all in here. Wow, I just made these nukes 2 weeks ago. So this goes to show, no matter what we think when we see a flow and we think, oh, the flow's no good. When we see flowers, we got this idea that we know what's going on. We really don't. I got one that's on me hard. He just needs to leave one. Look at this. Look at this. These are frames that I put in here that they drew out. Golly. These bees went nuts. Yeah, I'm gonna have to harvest this box. Probably pull about 4 frames of honey out of here. All right, let's see what see, they backfilled. This was, look at this. That flow came in really good. It should be winding down. Let's see if they left any spot for this queen. Yeah, she's laid it right back up then. Okay, good. I was afraid this whole thing was honey again. I gave her a few frames to draw out. This is one of them. And and look at the eggs. Now this is a new camera. Let's see how well it picks them up. But it's like, man, if they filled all this up, the flow was winding down when I did this. But still, there is a lot of nectar. Well, we get to do a hive inspection as well. Besides just, this is full too. So basically they filled this top box and the rest of the frames are honey. So we're definitely going to be, I'm going to yank probably about 4 frames of honey out of here. Actually probably about 6. Our bees need a good amount of honey in the winter. And they do a lot of flying, looking for stuff. And they don't find it and they burn energy, but they don't need 60 and 70 pounds per box. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be heavy. Oh my goodness. Oh, so that's heavy. Ooh, heavy, heavy. My goodness. Alrighty, here's our swarm. This is a full box of bees. I mean a full box. All right, let's get this bottom off. Oh, that irritated them. Yep. Pick that bottom board up with them. A couple beetles in there. All right, that aggravated them. All right, let's kill some beetles. See 2 of them. That's something else I look for when I'm putting a trap in. I don't want to lay it on I see a pile of beetles coming out, and sometimes these strong colonies will keep several beetles, I mean a good amount of beetles at bay. Usually you see a bunch when it's a weak colony, but now and again you'll get those ones that, look, they'll They'll be strong, but I had one, number 5, for years. It just existed with beetles. It didn't mind having beetles. And that would be one I would not put a pollen trap on because there's too many nooks and crannies. So we're gonna put this in. The bees are looking for their home. I'm gonna drop the door down because I don't want to trap, and that's gonna confuse them. Okay, all right, so now we've got the door down all the way. Close that up. They're going to be all against that door looking for their entrance. We're going to get this brood chamber back on because they're going to be wanting to get back home. That's actually got a lot of weight in it too, to be honest with you. Now, that's their new entrance. See how they're going now? Now they're looking for their old entrance. But they'll work their way up. And we're going to get them used to this for a while. We're not going to start taking pollen. And they're not really making any, pulling any pollen in right now. When the nectar slows down, they'll start bringing in a decent mix of both. But they've got a lot of nectar in here, and I'm not really concerned with swarming this time of the season once the nectar does stop, but it appears it's still coming in a little bit, so I might move one of those. Oh my gosh, that's heavy. I might move one of those. Put this on here, careful. Don't squish any bees. I might move one of those supers out on here off those weak hives instead of harvesting it. That way at least they got space, because it's not always about where they can put nectar. Sometimes they just need space so they can cool down and they're not overheated and congested. It's not always about the honey. There we go. Do we see any pollen, folks? See, they're all confused now. So it's going to take them a couple hours, but they'll figure it out. Somebody will start fanning the entrance. But I tell you, it sure wouldn't hurt to put a box on there. So I think I'm actually going to take one of those supers that I've got off of a colony I want to pull from. I might even take it off. Yeah, I am. I'm going to take a super off and bring one over here and let them finish it. You know what I mean? At least let them dry it out. Well, there you go, folks. That's the pollen traps I use. That's the Sundance model. Hopefully I'll have something to show you. Again, it's not time to start trapping. It will be soon. But it'll be a couple weeks before I close that door. Got a lot going on in the next couple months. I mean, a lot. Traveling and honey harvest and work and just a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to try and shoot video every chance I get. Show you what we got going on. Definitely show you harvest. Try to show you the pollen. Man, the bees are rolling. Exciting times. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Starting to warm up now. Now it's starting to get hot. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is the last thing I had to do. I am going to move one super over to them. I'm going to find which one I want to move. That way they've got a little bit of space. Because they're hot. They're in there. And there's a lot of bees in there. That's pleasant to see. That's a swarm, folks. That was not a huge swarm. That's probably about a 3-pound swarm at best. And it was caught in, oh, I'd have to look back. I want to say end of March, beginning of April. And it's filling up a box. Would it have made a super? I don't know, because when I put that box on there, it took them a while to get that done. But that's a good, healthy swarm. Yeah, but other than that, that's it. I'm going to go do some other stuff I got to get done. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video of how I do, because it's not a how-to, how I do pollen. Hey, and if we get enough pollen this year, I'll show you my process in drying it and how I dry it, how I clean it, and how I package it. So, all right, guys, well, look, I'm going to let y'all go. I appreciate all you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.